Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack and this is your latest Manchester United news. And what a weekend it's been for Manchester United in relation to stories coming out. We are no closer to knowing whether Erik ten Hag is going to keep his job at Manchester United. It's a bit of a shambles at the moment. There's managers that we've been linked with that are, saying they don't want the job, that they were never interested in it. And it's leaving us with a very short list of managers that could potentially take over Manchester United if Ineos decide to get rid of Erik ten Hag. But as this goes on and as it continues, me personally, I think it's kind of angling towards Erik ten Hag potentially staying at Manchester United if, and that's a big if he actually wants to stay there, because it's not looking good for him. But we'll talk about that, guys, as always. Plenty to discuss around Thomas Tuchel, around De Zerbi, around Pochettino, Southgate, all that kind of stuff. Rob Dawson from ESPN. Now, look, I know everything ESPN with a pinch of salt has had a big article and said a lot of things in relation to it. We've got updates from Fabrizio Romano around it. We've got the Athletic updates as well. Loads to get into around who's actually dealing with the transfer window this summer. Who's in charge? Who's doing the deals for Manchester United? We'll talk about that as well. Getting into transfers then a little bit, we're going to be talking a little bit about Jadon Sancho, a new left back. Romano has been speaking today as well about the possibility of João Neves, and a little bit from Sky Sports News in relation to João Paulinho of Fulham being linked with Manchester United as well. So we'll get into all of that. And as always, guys, do get your thoughts and comments into the comment section below. Smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. It does help the channel out an awful lot. And please do hit subscribe. We're, what are we? We're about... I think we're about 70, 75 away from 10,000 subscribers. So if you can help us out, do hit that subscribe button. It does help us out an awful lot. Get your comments in. As always, guys, I want to get through as many comments as we possibly can. Chris is in straight away, and he's not holding back. He's saying Ineos out, absolute shambles. I thought we were run poorly before. Didn't think it would get worse. I don't think it has got worse, personally, but we'll get into that as well. Who would want the job if Ineos treats Erik ten Hag like this? But look, we'll get into it, guys, as always. I do want to start, though, obviously, with the news that's been, circulating over the last 2 or 3 days, obviously, since we've last been live on Friday night. And, of course, it's in relation to Erik ten Hag. Now, we've got a load of different articles to go through and, get your thoughts in as we're going through them. I'm going to start with The Athletic and from Oliver Kay. He says that even to consider such contrasting figures as Southgate and De Zerbi before ending up in deep negotiations with Thomas Tuchel suggests a severe lack of clarity on the part of Radcliffe and co, as if the only certainty in their minds is that they want rid of Erik ten Hag. Now, this has all, been culminating over the past, few weeks in relation to Will Erik ten Hag stay? Will he go? What will the decision be, from Ineos? And, I said in the past few days and few weeks that I thought the longer it went on, potentially the more positive it would be in relation to Erik ten Hag keeping his job. And while I do still think that is the case, I do feel really, really sorry for Erik ten Hag, because we're hearing all these reports and all of these stories about Ineos potentially speaking with different candidates. Some of them have, downright refused to be Manchester United manager. They then have reports coming out that we've moved on to somebody else and somebody else. And if you're Erik ten Hag, you're thinking, my God, I mean, how badly treated am I here, in all of this? Different reports coming out. The Times suggests that Thomas Tuchel left a meeting with Sir Jim Ratcliffe with the sense that he was not going to be Manchester United's choice should they dismiss Erik ten Hag, and has now elected to take a break from management. So, this report about Thomas Tuchel has been the main probably candidate, and I've said it in the past that I do think he is probably one of them managers that has got maybe the stature and the experience maybe to manage Manchester United, given the size of the club. He's been at Chelsea, he's been at PSG, he's been at Bayern Munich specifically, an absolutely massive club. However, the downsides to Thomas Tuchel from an Ineos standpoint is that he's not a yes man. He's not a yes man. And I think that's probably the main reason why he would never be Manchester United manager. If we're looking at what Manchester United want at the moment. It does look like, and we'll get onto it in a moment, they do want this kind of yes man. Somebody that will come in, coach the team, be given a group of players and have no input in anything else besides the actual first team squad. And I don't think that's what Thomas Tuchel wants. He likes to be involved in transfers. He likes to be in charge of who comes in, who he sells, who he starts, who he doesn't start. The last thing he wants is a director of football above him to be telling him who to pick and who has to play. And I don't think that's healthy for any club. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case at Manchester United, but I think Thomas Tuchel specifically doesn't suit that kind of narrative. Rob Dawson in ESPN also says there are concerns if he's not the right fit for United. The new structure, and according to a source, incoming sporting director Dan Ashworth, here we go, wants a yes man manager rather than someone to challenge the recruitment department over the makeup of the squad. And this is the main talking point that we've been, worrying about over the last few weeks now, ever since we're waiting to hear what the decision is going to be. And when you hear the word yes man, you're automatically, sorry, let me pull up my chair a bit. You're automatically thinking Gareth Southgate. You're thinking, maybe Maurizio Pochettino, these types of managers who will go into a club, be given a group of players and just say, right, get on with it. We'll take care of everything else. You don't have an input in what we're doing here. And it's concerning because, while I am in agreement that the structure behind the scenes needs to be put in place to have consistency when we do change managers, I do think the manager needs to have an input in some way, shape or form of who we sign. Whether that be, the areas that we improve on. We've heard the 5-point plan that Ineos are going to have and, around recruitment in the future. Obviously, the no players under the age of 25. You're talking then about the manager will tell us the areas he wants improved, and then we will go out and bring back 3 players from each of them positions, and then he has an input then on who we actually sign. I think that's a fair way. I really do. And I don't think, I'm not going to have any criticism for Ineos around that actual, them rules, because I think them rules are in place to allow a smooth transition from one manager to another if we do decide, to sack Erik ten Hag, or in the future sack another manager. We've seen it with Brighton, for example. They've had a number of different managers now who have gone there and have been relatively successful. And it's all down to the fact that they've got a certain structure behind the scenes. They buy young, under the radar players, develop them and maybe sell them on, and that's their business model. And the manager fits the way the club want to play football. So I'm not totally against that. I just don't want a complete and utter yes man that comes in and has no input in anything. And I think that could be maybe one of the main reasons, maybe not the main reason, but I certainly do think it's a tick against Erik ten Hag, because he does want to have a say. Now, I've said this before, I don't think Erik ten Hag is the type of manager that will leave because he doesn't get, the overarching say in who we sign, because he's worked at Ajax before, and Ajax have a very similar structure, where, they had Van der Sar, they had Overmars, for example. These guys were recruiting players. They were getting players in alongside Erik ten Hag, and it was, a democracy more than anything else when it came to who they were going to sign and the areas that they needed to improve on. So I think Erik ten Hag absolutely can work in this new Ineos structure, but whether he's allowed to do that remains to be seen. Let me get through some of your comments before we move on. Neverworld says Ineos never said that Ten Hag's position was ever in jeopardy, or that it was to be reviewed. They never came out and said that his job was on the line. They've had no official stance on what the manager's position is. We have assumed that he was in hot water because of the results throughout the season. We did this. We started this circus in the media. Journals have seen us talking about it. Now, this came from, I can't remember the name of the journalist, but the week before the FA Cup final, came out with a statement that Erik ten Hag's job was at risk. And it all stemmed from this. And I completely agree with you, Neverworld. You know, we're completely... We're talking here 100% about something that might not even be the case here. You know, we've heard before of the structure, and just like I've mentioned there, that Ineos want, they'll go to the manager and say, what areas do you want improving? He'll say centre back, centre midfield, centre forward, and they'll go, okay, we'll go away and we'll come back with candidates for you to choose. Erik ten Hag probably has done that already. You know, we heard at the end of the season when Jason Wilcox came in that Erik ten Hag and him had already held multiple meetings on, you know, the way he wants to bring the team forward and who he wants to sign and the positions that he needs improving. So I'm sure Erik ten Hag has already done that. He's gone away on holidays now. He's taken his 2 weeks holidays. And when he comes back, I'm sure he's kept abreast of things that's going on at the moment. We know that Manchester United are already talking to players. You know, we've had a bid rejected already for João Neves. You know, we've already made contact about Lenny Yoro, about Inacio, even about Brantwaite, for example. All these types of players. So there is work happening in the background. And I do agree with what you're saying, Everworld. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that, you know, Ineos come out and say, we never said that Erik ten Hag's job was at stake. And I think if we're the ones talking about this, and the journalists are talking about it, and the media and social media and fans, so on and so forth, all that matters is what Ineos have said to Erik ten Hag. If Ineos have said to Erik ten Hag before he went on holidays, listen, your job is safe. Let the media talk all their nonsense. We're concentrating on getting the job done and getting transfers in. I mean, that's all that matters. We can speculate all we want online, in, you know, journalists, in the media, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not saying that that's after happening, but if that is after happening, then Ineos and Erik ten Hag and, you know, the whole structure at Manchester United are going, well, we're not in a hurry to make a statement here. We're going to finish our overall review of the club and then we'll make a statement. So, look, from a fan standpoint, we want to know who's going to be our manager as quickly as possible, because especially as Manchester United fans, we've been left in the dark so many times over the last 18 years since the Glazers have been there. We get itchy feet very, very quickly. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Erik ten Hag is getting sacked, but I would like to know sooner rather than later. That's all I would say on that. That's all I got to say about that. As Forrest Gump would say. I wouldn't blame Erik ten Hag if he tells Ineos to go themselves. Chris says, if I was a candidate, I would not talk to the club if they hadn't sacked their manager. It's called respect amongst managers. Well, let me move it on then and talk about other managers here. We're seeing managers supposedly fall by the wayside. Maurizio Pochettino, according to the Telegraph, is unlikely to be Manchester United's next manager. So we're talking about, you know, we're talking about him being gone. We're talking about Tuchel being gone. I don't think Gareth Southgate is going to be the next manager. Who does that leave you with? Are we talking about De Zerbi? Reports have suggested today from Fabrizio Romano that no meetings have taken place between Pochettino or De Zerbi as of yet and Manchester United. So if Fabrizio Romano is talking about this, Thomas Tuchel is out of the race. No one is spoken to De Zerbi or Pochettino. Gareth Southgate can't be announced as Manchester United manager because he's going to be in the Euros till the middle of July, and I don't think anyone wants him anyway, bar maybe Dave Brailsford. I mean, it has to be a positive for Erik ten Hag. I don't know. We just want a little bit of clarity. But my point being here is the knock-on effect of not having these rumours quenched is that you're going to struggle to negotiate with players and the representatives of players. And we've seen that so far, that, you know, reports have come out saying players don't want to speak to Manchester United until the manager debacle has been sorted. Now, we've been hearing over the last day or so that the Manchester United current group of players are worried about it as well. Manchester United have been approached by representatives of a number of current players to inquire about the status of the review, Ten Hag's position and progress in the transfer market. Now, first and foremost, it's none of their business, but I can understand if players are looking to move away from the club potentially, or Jadon Sancho, for example, am I potentially going to come back? We'll talk about him in a minute. A lot of that will depend on who the manager is going to be next season. So with all of this going on in the background, not only are we probably going to struggle to buy players until it's sorted, we'll probably struggle to move on a certain amount of players. Like if you're Harry Maguire, for example, and Erik Ten Hag tried to sell him last year, it's pretty clear that United are trying to get rid of him again this year. But if he's got a new manager coming in, he might go, I'll stay here and keep my wages 250 grand a week and I'll try, get on the good books of this new manager. So that's the problem you're having when trying to get players off the books as well, which is a big concern. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Neverworld says manager's position is we have assumed that he was in hot water because of the results throughout. Oh yeah, we read that one. Sorry. Rest of the club first and stop allowing outlets to put our manager and team in the hot seat when they don't need to be. Sorry for the rant, but just how I'm feeling. Yeah, that's what we're here for, man. Rant away, rant away. We'll go through them all. Daryl says, wouldn't blame Erik Ten Hag if he told Ineos to go F themselves with the way he's been treated. Chris says, I have no problem with how Ineos want to handle transfers. The 5 points makes sense. Now, look, I mean, the one thing I have to say about Ineos here is that Ineos have completely changed the top end of the football club in the last 6 months, which is commendable. It really is commendable. And having not made a knee-jerk reaction to changing the manager at the end of the season couldn't be further from the Glazer Ed Woodward era. Okay, and as Manchester United fans over the last 10 years, that's what we've been calling for. We've been calling for a little bit of stability and a little bit of patience, a little bit of, take a deep breath and make the right decision. Okay, now that we're getting a little bit of that, we've gone completely full circle, or we've gone 180 and, we're going, we need an answer now. Like I said before, who's to say that Ineos have already told Erik Ten Hag that he's going to be the manager next season and that it'll be announced as part of the overall announcement when the season review has been fully completed. So, Ineos have been doing really good work in the 6 months that they've been there on the top end of the club. We would like to get an announcement on the manager sooner rather than later, but speculation is all we've got at the moment. And when it's only speculation, I've seen already, Ineos out. Chris has said it in the chat, Ineos out. Let's all just take a breath for a minute and calm down. We've been calling for stability and, the right decisions to be made for 10 years now. Let's see if we get it over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And if we do, then happy days. And if we don't, then we'll take it from there. That's all I'm saying. Let's see what you're saying there. Ben is in. He says, evening all, late tonight. Hope you're all good. Dylan says, United will want to push on with transfers because if some of them have good euros, their price will skyrocket. Absolutely, you're spot on. Brandtwaite for 53 million on add-ons. Fabrizio, here we go. Really? Let me have a look at that now. And we'll... I didn't see that and pop up. Didn't see anything on it. What have we been like? 20 minutes. Let me go back. Yeah, there's a lot of reports coming out, even since we have been live, about Maurizio Pochettino. So let me just bring it up here. And this is coming from Paul Hurst in the Times. He has said that Manchester United have cooled their interest in Maurizio Pochettino. He is unlikely to be given the Manchester United job. And so again, this goes back to what we've been saying. Even the managers that we have been linked with now are falling by the wayside. Does that mean Ineos are closing in on the candidate that they actually want? To be honest with you, in the back of my mind for the last couple of weeks, even though there's been no real links with him, in the back of my mind, I've been saying I think it's going to be De Zerbi if it's going to be anyone. The way he left Brighton at the end of the season, all roads pointed to him for me, to be honest with you. If we're looking at maybe all of the managers that are available, I think he's probably the best candidate regardless. Even though I don't want him, I would rather have Erik ten Hag, to be honest with you. But are all roads leading to De Zerbi? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But yeah, let's see. As well, Rob Dawson has been saying Manchester United bosses have assured representatives of senior players that efforts to strengthen the squad are on course even while Ten Hag's future is up in the air. Now, I completely 100% agree with this because we already know that we're looking to make signings. We've had a bid rejected for João Neves already. Lenny Yoro, we've met with representatives. Inacio, we've met with representatives from him. There's obviously we've spoken quite in depth about Elise. We're linked with the left back from Brighton at the moment, or Bournemouth, sorry. So there is work being done in the background. Don't get that twisted any way, shape or form. But the only kind of thing we're talking about now is the manager. And that manager, the lack of clarity on the manager is having this trickle-down effect when it comes to players, when it comes to, signings, when it comes to sales, when it comes to current players. And, I don't know what current players are going to march into, Ineos's boardroom, and go, we want a decision now on Erik ten Hag's future. They're on a beach somewhere. They don't give a shit, or they're preparing for the Euros. So I don't know how much of that I would believe, but I certainly am in agreement that I think there is work going on in the background in relation to, recruiting players. Absolutely there is. Let's see. Neverword says, do we really think the man would have sodded off on holiday to relax if he knew his job was at risk? Great point. Well, he could also just go on holidays and go, well, I know I'm getting sacked, so why would I stick around? So there are two ways of looking at things, as there always is. Chris says, how much more time do they need to do a review? Let's be serious. Well, it depends what the review is on, Chris. Obviously we've been talking about, a season review, but I think they're just doing an overall restructuring of the business. And, that's quite normal for somebody coming in, especially with a business the size of Manchester United, even though I hate calling Manchester United a business. Let's see. Ineos wants Southgate or Harry Potter. Dylan says Ineos are just the Glazers. Wait a few years, they're going to be like the Glazers. I disagree, Dylan. I disagree. I think it's a very easy comparison to make. They've been there 6 months and they've done some really good work on the back end of the club. Work that we've been calling for 10 years. And they've done it in 6 months. So credit to them for that. It's just a manager decision we're waiting on. Let's see. Clarion says, it's becoming clearer to me now that they haven't learned from Nice and still doing things in a haphazard way. No way should Sir Jim Ratcliffe be carrying out manager interviews. I don't think he is. I think it's been quite clear since minute one that Jim Ratcliffe hires people to do these kind of things for him. He's come out and said in these interviews that he's not an expert at any of this stuff, and that his job is to put people in place who are, your Dan Ashworths, your Dave Brailsfords, your Omar Baradas, your Jason Wilcox. They're the ones that are going to be negotiating new managers and speaking to them. Now, again, I think it's just a bit of a coincidence that Thomas Tuchel and Jim Ratcliffe were in the same reception in Monaco, or at the same event, whatever it was. And that's where the reports came from. Laser, welcome to the members club. I really appreciate the support, my man. Really appreciate it. Anyone else who wants to become an official channel member, guys, the link is in the description of the video. You get some extra content, a chance to come on live with us as well for the match reactions. And if anyone else has any I suppose any suggestions on what you would like as extra content, just hit me up as well, because that's what I'm here for. So yeah, I do appreciate you joining as an official member, Laser. Absolutely appreciate the support as always. And big welcome to him in the chat from everyone else as well. Michael says we have to sell first. We only have about 50 million to spend. I think 50 million is a bit low. I reckon it's closer to 100 million that we have. But I mean, I agree with you. We will have to sell regardless, and I think we could easily generate a minimum 100 million from sales when you're talking about Sancho, Greenwood, Casemiro, Wan-Bissaka, McTominay, these types of players. I think you could easily generate anywhere between 100 and 150 million. Dylan says, it doesn't matter about what signings Ineos make, it's about the manager. If we get someone like Southgate who can't even manage players properly. Ahmed says, who do you think Ineos go for the managerial position if they decide to sack Ten Hag? Will there be any surprises like the appointment of Omar Barada? Well, look, I mean, Tuchel is out, Pochettino is now out. I don't think Southgate is going to be getting the job. It all rose point to Zerbi for me. That's if Erik Ten Hag gets sacked, and I don't want him to be sacked. Jack, I rate Tuchel, but I want to give Erik Ten Hag another season, so I think him off the list is a good sign, and Poch, for me, is a bottler of a manager. Proved a lot that he is not there managing big clubs. Michael says, it's a disgrace to sack a manager who's won 2 trophies in 2 years. Absolutely, and I think a lot of that will play into Erik Ten Hag's favour, I have to say. Jim doesn't do any interviews. He hires cycling coaches to find washed ex-footballers and other cycling coaches to run a football team. Anyway, yeah. Let's see what else we've got here in relation to it. Rob Dawson, finally, he says in his article that Manchester United remain confident they will have a positive summer, although sources have said that Jim Ratcliffe and Jean-Claude Blanc have admitted to staff that the recruitment department will not be up to speed until Ashworth is in place as sporting director. So again, it's another delay. We know what's going on with Dan Ashworth, and I said this months ago, why not pay the 20 million to get him out of his contract? Just pay it, because that 20 million, in the grand scheme of things, if he was in place for the summer transfer window, would be far greater than the sum of its worth. Because 20 million, when you're going into a transfer window, just think of it as signing a player. 20 million is nothing now. If you're getting a director of football in that can potentially get you deals done a lot more efficiently and cheaper, why not pay the 20 million to get Dan Ashworth out of his contract? And that's a big concern for me. The transfer window is about to open, and Dan Ashworth is not going to be there. He's not going to be involved. He's not going to be allowed to get deals done for Manchester United. So straight away, we're on the back foot. And that's worrying. It really is. What else have we got here? Anything else on the manager? Yeah, so while we're talking about the transfer market and the transfer window, the same report suggests that work on incomings and outgoings is being done by Technical Director Jason Wilcox, Director of Football Negotiations Matt Hargreaves, who is only in the role on a part-time basis, and Chief Scout Steve Brown. So that's who's running our transfer window at the moment, in terms of trying to get players in and out. Jason Wilcox is a technical director. I don't know what experience he has on negotiating deals for players in his career. Director of Football Negotiations Matt Hargreaves, I mean, would he be in a role like that if he didn't know how to negotiate? I don't know. It remains to be seen. But it's a little bit annoying, isn't it? It's a little bit annoying. But anyway, guys, let's go through some of your final comments here before we move on to some transfer news. Dylan says, if we're going to sack Ten Hag, that's shit. Look what Ole done. He was there 3 years, I think 1-0, only got us to a final, lost that and got a second place, and they kept him for a few years. Laser says, I have a lot of respect for Ten Hag. I understand Ineos want a new start, but sacking a manager who's won us 2 trophies in 2 seasons is a weird one. All he needs is a fresh squad and better surroundings. I agree. Jason Wilcox is a technical ball bag. Let's give him a chance. We are a laughing stock, and it makes a mockery of Erik Ten Hag. I wouldn't blame him if he left. They want a yes man. Well, yeah, I mean, it will only be a mockery and really, really harsh on Erik Ten Hag if they sack him. All of this could be just noise. It could all just be noise. It really could. Erik Ten Hag might know that he's going to be the manager at the start of next season. He might already know that. So it's all conjecture on our part, on the media's part, on fans, and we will know sooner or later. I would like to know sooner rather than later. But yeah, I mean, we'll know soon enough. I never brought any water with me. Do I have any bottles of water here? I don't. But yeah, brilliant, guys. The Euros are only a few days away. Make sure you are subscribed to the Football Community channel, our second channel. We're doing all of our live watch-alongs over there. And Neverworld will be delighted to hear that I am officially supporting Scotland in the Euros. Scotland are my team. That's who I'm going for. And as soon as they get knocked out, I'll be going to Portugal. Apologies, Neverworld. But yeah, Scotland, our Celtic cousins, will be shouting for in the Euros. Me personally, anyway. I might even go and buy a Scotland jersey to have on for the Euros. So yeah, hope Scotland do well. And once they get knocked out, I will be shouting for Portugal because I'd like to see Portugal win. But yeah. Always had a soft spot for Scotland. I love your national anthem as well. So, but yeah, make sure you're subscribing, guys. Football Community channel, link is in the description. Click the link, hit subscribe, and yeah, come back to us. And also, like I said, we've got some new designs up on our merchandise store. A few people have already bought the new Roy Keane designs, which are brilliant. That's your job, and the baby one as well, which is brilliant. I've got mine ordered as well, and they're on the way. So hopefully we'll have them by the end of the week, hopefully. So yeah, make sure you go check them out, guys. Use the code UCC at checkout as well to get 10% off. Take advantage of it while it's there. Go check it out, and yeah, get your merch in, because there's some really cool designs going up at the moment. Right, let's move it on. And let's talk a little bit about transfers, shall we? Reports around Jadon Sancho have surfaced over the weekend, and Manchester United's, I suppose, real want to sell him. And Fabrizio Romano has been speaking about it this morning. Manchester United believe there could be more clubs keen on signing Jadon Sancho, not only Borussia Dortmund. Options expected to appear from other countries. Man United will explore it all before deciding for the best one. Sancho remains available for 40 million initial price tag. And I think it's a fair enough price tag, if I'm being 100% honest. Now, we know that Borussia Dortmund are basically saying they can't afford that. I think they could find the money for him if they really wanted him. I think it's probably his salary that's going to be the big stumbling block over the summer for Jadon Sancho. But where are the rumours? Where are the reports? I mean, Fabrizio has been very speculative here, saying options are expected to appear from other countries, not specific clubs. So, I mean, look, we know there's a talented player in Jadon Sancho, but we also know that there is a lack of professionalism at the best of times from him. And, you know, if you were a manager of Napoli, for example, would you want Jadon Sancho after seeing the public fallout and the criticism he had for his current manager? I wouldn't want to sign him. If I was a manager, I would stay as far away from him as I possibly could. But look, I mean, Jadon Sancho is one of the players that we do need to move this summer, and we need to move him as quickly as possible, because he is one of the players that is going to garnish us some decent money to reinvest back into the transfer window. The last thing you want is, a Jadon Sancho saga to drag on until, the start of August, and then we sell him with a week to go on the transfer window, and we can't reinvest the money because, it's too late to go out and buy somebody. So it's the more I think about the transfer window, and the fact that the likes of Dan Ashworth is not in place, like we mentioned already, the more I worry about it, because, we should be looking to offload players as quickly as possible over the next few weeks. Start of July, I'd love to see Sancho, Greenwood, and whoever, one more, maybe Maguire, move on, before the middle of July, before we go on pre-season training, minimum. Because you can go out and buy players, even before that then. You can be talking about it, João Neves, even though he's, the most expensive player on the market at the moment. You can be talking to a Todibo, a Lenny Yoro, a Inacio, whoever it may be. And the one thing we haven't seen over the past few weeks is any links about a second striker. There was initial reports a few weeks ago about Benjamin Sesko. That seems to have kind of fallen by the wayside. It looks like Arsenal and Chelsea are the two front runners for him now. It'll be interesting to see what United do in relation to a second striker, but we are going to need to sell players, and Jadon Sancho is one that needs to move on as quickly as possible, because we need to reinvest that money. Let's see. 10 quid. Somebody give us 10 quid from accept Dortmund and let him go. Damien says 10k in before the end of the Euros, 10k subscribers. Yeah, I mean, we're only 75 away, so hopefully we can get see, usually the bulk of the subscribers come from watch-alongs, and we're not going to be doing watch-alongs on this channel for another month, 4 to 5 weeks. I think the first game of pre-season will be the 15th of July. So we'll be doing for that as well. We are being sponsored for the entirety of pre-season as well. The 5 pre-season games were being sponsored by the Kit Man again. So we'll have all of the 3 new kits on, one for each show, and then there's 2 retro kits coming as well that I've got for the 5 games in pre-season. So we'll have a different jersey on for each one, and I'll have a link and some offers and stuff like that once it rolls around as well. So make sure you're tuning into pre-season here on the United Community channel. Oshin says, I'm expected to appear in work tomorrow. Might not happen though. Laser says, I read a report earlier that Arsenal are looking to buy Sancho. Of course not confirmed, but that looks like a green light in offers coming in. We already know Dortmund can't afford him. I don't think Arsenal will be stupid enough to go anywhere near him, to be quite honest with you. You look at how long it took Arteta to clear out the Deadwood, the Lacazettes, the Aubameyangs, these types of players. I don't think they'd be silly enough to go in for Jadon Sancho, to be honest with you. Chris says, what did Sancho do at Dortmund? Nothing. Like he did for us. Look at his stats, 3 goals and 2 assists in 15 games. Exactly. Bang average. That's cheap after paying 80 million for him, says Michael. Yeah, well, you have to realise, Michael, we were buying at the time one of the best wingers in Europe, because his stats showed that at Dortmund. He was absolutely unbelievable for 2 seasons at Dortmund, and that's what we bought. Now, what people are, what clubs are potentially buying now is a shadow of that. So, you take a chance when you sign players on big money. If it doesn't work out, you're going to lose money on it. I think 40 million, I would take the hand and all off you now if I got 40 million for Jadon Sancho. Sancho is like a pair of cement boots, never good. Damien says, absolutely, Chris. All this talk of the media about his big revival at Dortmund, absolute rubbish. Neverworld says, I'm supposed to be in work on Friday, and that's definitely not going to be happening. I well believe it. A few pints of Tennent's. I must get a few cans of Tennent's for the Scottish games. I think Scotland are on. Scotland are what is it, 8 o'clock on Friday? Is it 8 o'clock on Friday? Let me double check. Yeah, 8 o'clock Friday. We'll be live for that. So we will. Laser says, we read that one. Chris is a big fan of the new white kit. Yeah, I don't know how you don't like the new white kit. It's just absolutely amazing. I love it. Saw reports we are linked to Sevilla striker Yusuf. Yeah, I'm always afraid to read out names that I don't recognise because you got me so many times. Michael says the Glazers are getting away with a lot since Ineos came on board. Look, forget about the Glazers. The Glazers are just going to be they're not picking up dividends for the next 3 years, or is it 5 years? Because that was part of the deal, and they have no input in the club. So forget about the Glazers. Forget about them. Oh, flower of Scotland. Do, 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 do. On Ricey Bay. Neverworld says, I'll be flying about 2 hours before that, says Neverworld. I'm apologising in advance for any ramblings on Friday, folks. Well, I tell you, you're coming to the right place to do it, so you are. Absolutely. Right, left back time. Manchester United, Fabrizio Romano has been talking about this this morning. Obviously, United potentially are looking at a new left back. I thought we'd get another 12 months out of the likes of Luke Shaw and Malacia. You know, I don't think either of them would have a season as unlucky as they had the season just gone. But Manchester United and Fabrizio Romano is doubling down on Milos Kerkez. If Manchester United make an offer for the Bournemouth player, there will be an interest to join from his side, even without Champions League football, which is good to hear, you know. And we've said this on a number of different occasions here. If you don't want to join Manchester United just because you're not in Champions League football, then we don't want you. Do you know what I mean? You want to be signing players that want to play for your club. You know, now, look, Man United are not in fucking a relegation battle, and we are going to be challenging for top four next season, you would hope. And you are going to be playing in the Europa League. So I want to sign players who want to play for Manchester United and not players who want to play in the Champions League. There's a huge, huge difference there. So if you're looking at this young lad, Milos Kerkez, while I understand he is, you know, nowhere near a world-class left-back at the moment, if there's potential there, then brilliant. But he wants to play for Manchester United, according to Fabrizio Romano. And they're the players that you want to be signing for your football club, not players who want to play for your club just so they can play in the Champions League. You know, there's a huge, huge difference. And I think that's what we've been lacking an awful lot over the last 10 years. Players who are playing for other things rather than the badge, playing for a wage packet, you know, playing for the to try and play in the Champions League. All of these. I understand players want to play in the Champions League, but you should want to play for Manchester United more than you should want to play in the Champions League, regardless. And that's the point that I would make there. But yeah, I mean, look, if left back is a priority for the upcoming transfer window, then brilliant. You know, I've always said before that, you know, you have your priorities. So centre back, centre midfield and centre forward are our priorities this year. But if an opportunity arises to sign a player in a different position that you're thinking of maybe strengthening in 12 months' time, then brilliant. You know, like, who's to say we wouldn't sign this young lad and loan him back to Bournemouth for a year? Bournemouth pays wages. You know what I mean? So there are you know, there are ways and means of doing things. There really is. Let's see. Oshin says, where are we? Just ordered big baby hoodie. Kids getting it for me for Father's Day. They just don't know about it. Brilliant. Love it, man. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, let me just... let me see, can I get a picture of it here? And we'll put it up on the screen. Oh, I have to log in. Bear with me for 1 second. Now would be the time to hack me. Where are we? Where is it? Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Oh, wait, no. I'm in the wrong one. There we go. It's a deadly hoodie. Right, let me see. Can I just get it up on the screen here for you? I think I can. So this is the hoodie. This is the new design on the merchandise store. Yeah. I love it. It's so simple. What a baby. What a big baby. Baby. I can do it. I think I can put it up over here as well. Yeah, so look. Let me go full screen. There it is. And we've also got, let me see, we've also got, what's the other one? The other one is this one. I do like this one as well. So they're the two new designs, guys. Anyone has any interest in getting them, go check out the go check out the merchandise store. Like I said, link is in the description of the video. Use code UCC at checkout for 10% off and get your hoodies in. And we've got t-shirts and we've got you know, an awful lot of different things there as well. So go check it out. All these hoodies. Yeah, see, Chris, we don't live in Florida, man. Any of the designs that I've made, you can get them as t-shirts as well. So I'm thinking about where I come from, where we don't wear t-shirts that often. Danny says, I like Luke Shaw, but he's become too injury prone now, so we do need to sign another left back as backup, in my opinion. Luke Shaw should be sold while we can still get something for him. Keith Amrabat says, Daryl, I agree. Ricey says, did Ineos actually speak with Tuchel? They didn't speak with him. Jim Ratcliffe supposedly was at the same function as Tuchel and they had a conversation. That's the report, supposedly. I don't think there was any official meetings, Ranton. Laser says, I like Kirkes. He is aggressive, eager to take on players, not afraid to tackle, and is very good at intercepting. I'd like to take him this summer 100%. We need that bully-like player at defence. Michael says, that's class. Need to buy that, Jack. Good work, honestly. Appreciate it, my man. Yeah, like I said, anyone who wants any of it, guys, link is in the description of the video. But as always, there's absolutely no pressure. Right. We were speaking about Jadon Sancho. We were speaking about Kirkes. Just to give you some quick updates on what Fabrizio Romano has been saying this morning. He's been speaking about João Neves. He says Manchester United have made contact with people close to João Neves. They believe he will be one of the best midfielders around in the future. The interest is genuine, but the financials could be an issue, however. He went on to say that in terms of possibility, he thinks it is a possibility United can sign him. The position from Benfica is the same. Pay €120 million release clause. They want to keep him for another year. So Manchester United will have to get their negotiation hats on and get good at it because it's not going to be an easy deal to get done. You're probably going to have competition. You know, I don't think anyone will meet his release clause. I really don't. So that means Benfica will probably look to negotiate for a lower price. Can you get him for €90 million, €100 million? What are you talking? 70, 80 million pounds then? If you could get 40 to 50 for Casemiro, reinvest that into this guy, I don't think it's a bad deal. I really don't. Now, finally, guys, before we finish up, there has been reports from Sky Sports today saying that Manchester United are interested in João Palhinha. Fulham value him at around £60 million. Now, initial reports last week were suggesting that Bayern Munich were close to agreeing a deal with Fulham for him. Vincent Kompany is a big fan of him, supposedly. But according to Sky Sports, Karve Salikov has said that United are now interested in this guy as well. Now, I've been looking at his stats, and his stats are pretty impressive, in fairness, for a defensive midfielder. And look, we're looking at the bottom section here more than anything else. Tackles, he's in the 99th percentile in the world, which is, you know, absolutely top class. Interceptions, 90%, which is fantastic. Blocks, 95%, fantastic. Clearances, 84%. And aerial duels won 73%. So that's the defensive side of his game, which is really, really good. And he is a defensive midfielder. The only thing I would say is that if we go up here and have a look, he's 28 years of age. Now, 28 years of age, if we're looking at what we were speaking about earlier, about Ineos's 5 rules around recruitment, you don't sign anybody over the age of 25. Now, I think there's a bit of leeway when it comes to these 5 rules. I think if you can get you have to have players of experience within your team. You can't have a squad of 22 players all under the age of 25. You cannot win nothing with kids, as Alan Hansen once said. By the way, Alan Hansen is seriously ill in hospital, which is pretty sad to hear. So our thoughts go out to him and his family as well, even though he's obviously part of the so-called enemy, Liverpool. I hope he gets well. But yeah, supposedly he's in serious condition in hospital. Reported on Sky News this morning. So yeah, João Paulinho. It looks like United are going heavy for a defensive midfielder. Now, I mean, João Paulinho at 60 million. Now, you could probably get him for around 50. Would I prefer Paulinho or Neves? Paulinho for 50, Neves for 80? I'm going Neves for 80 all day long, I have to say. I think you've got more longevity with Neves. I think he's more all-rounded. And if you were ever to sell him in the future, you've got sell-on value. If he, after 5 or 6 years, he decided he wanted to go, he would be 28 years of age at the time, you'd be able to get something in return. So I would, while I do like Paulinho, I think he's a very, very good footballer. I think he would fit in at United really well. He'd give good balance to that team. Jack, can you unblock Laser? What? There we go. He should be back there now, I think. Yeah, I think he's back. He's back. Laser put in a message if you... what happened? Yeah, Chris blocked you by accident. I don't know what's going on. The moderators need a good kick in the hole here now. But yeah. Let's see what you're saying, guys, before we finish up. Let's see. We live in the middle of an endless downpour. The rain hardens you here, Chris. We're made of hard stuff. Let's see. Vincent Company. Yeah. Oshin says 35 for Paulinho plus McTominay. Good deal for Fulham. Great deal for us. I agree. I wish swap deals were easier to do. That's the only thing. Buy João Gomez for Wolves. Next Paulinho. We all remember 1996 as Michael. Danny says, Jack, what's your thoughts on Galatasaray offering €25 for Man United duo Wan-Bissaka and McTominay? Didn't hear anything about it, Danny, to be honest with you. Didn't hear anything about it. But yeah, I think that's a pretty successful show, guys. A lot to get through, over the course of the weekend, and the Monday shows are always dense when it comes to information. But look, I mean, again, we're still no closer to knowing what's going to happen with Erik ten Hag. Again, I would say I would call for calm. I would call for patience. Ineos are, like I said, they've done a lot of good work in 6 months behind the scenes, structuring the backroom staff. And who's to know? Erik ten Hag might already have been given assurances by Ineos that he's going to be the manager. And this might all be the media's way of selling newspapers about Manchester United. Because if this wasn't... If this Erik ten Hag story wasn't out there and put out there by the media would have nothing to talk about when it comes to Manchester United. And the media don't like that. So let's all take a deep breath. Let's gather ourselves. It'll all come out in the end. Deals are being done in the background. We're working hard on getting players in and the transfer window and so on and so forth. Pre-season has already been planned. I think Erik ten Hag will be here. Let's all take a little deep breath. There is an Erik ten Hag top as well in the merch store as well, guys. Go check it out. I'll put it up on screen for you one more time before we go. Merchandise, click the link in the description, scan the QR code. Use UCC at checkout for 10% off. And like I said, subscribe to Football Community Channel, our second channel. All of the Euros will be there. We're supporting Scotland on the Scots. for the Euros, so go check it out. Guys, I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already done so, please do smash a like on the video. I'm getting really great feedback on our news shows now. The numbers are starting to build every night. I'm seeing more and more people in, and there's new names in the chat every night, which is fantastic. And the numbers are growing. They're starting to grow every single night, which is absolutely fantastic. So I really do appreciate it. If you haven't hit subscribe already, please do. I think we're about 70 away from 10,000 subscribers, which is phenomenal. Really appreciate all your support as always, guys. I'll be back again tomorrow night, as always, from 9 o'clock. Make sure you're joining. Follow me on TikTok as well. I'll keep you all up to date on everything that's going on over there. If anything breaks throughout the day and I can't go live on YouTube, you'll get it on TikTok. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.